you at peace? I ask in this aimless letter without a recipient, for you've sailed off on a journey to where my words may never reach. Perhaps your heart is finally at ease, as you had always wished to travel to new lands beyond Dongyan. I have not fared well in your absence. With your passing on, my liberator from the leash of a Heisho, it seems that I had become an outsider to Dongyan overnight. My freedom was already paid for to return me to whence I came. I was an outsider to the Zhao family, and to let stay in Nuenjianwu as I had done, making me a man who, with his half-freedom, was doomed to wander lost in Hongyan. The Soma that was leashed for the bitter half of his life found the concept of freedom itself alien. The marks left by the leash that once held me itched. Thus, I brushed and scratched through my memories. Perhaps I have ruminated overlong in the forward. I took up the brush today to reminisce upon the memories I shared with the young miss. Let us endeavor in that effort. At the incipients, there was a vast field, upon which I galloped. I remember not since when I had begun my galloping, but where my earliest recollections begin, I was already a quadruped horse, leashed by a master, steered by his saddle to somewhere. Such is the fate of most Heishos. Once all is said and done, the memories that remain burned into our psyche isn't what drove us to become a Heisho. It is the very first memory of our transfiguration. The sensation remains painfully vivid even now, crackling and boiling like my bimped leg did, dropping with viscosity as my entrails begins to drop, only to be caught by flesh and leather that was mine yet alien. Once it's all said and done, I had become a quadruped. Yet, no memories of mine thereafter remains nearly as vivid. Instead, they are consistent and colorless, a life led by reins, eventually to the vanguard of the cavalry. I fail to recall exactly what excellence of mine it was that boosted me to the front of all others. Perhaps the answer lies in the statement that one of my past leash bearers had once shared, that the darkness of my armor, the shadows cast by my impressive countenance, kindled the least amount of guilt in him. "Why would I," he said, "feel any guilt when you are but a storm-like, mindless disaster that strikes indiscriminately?" That sentiment was most shameful to be saddled with, yet shame was a foreign feeling then. But I do not hold it in much contempt, as it was exactly what had led you to select me. Indeed, it was about then that you, young miss, first held my leash. You were certainly an odd one, even with the benefit of hindsight. How odd it was that you would use the cavalry not to break your foes, but to defend yourself from them. In a few days under your service, I came to conclude that my lord is too feeble to grow her clan. After a few more days under your service, I came to conclude that you had no other Heishos to choose from for your task. Thus, I assumed that the leash should be changing hands to another in no time. Or so I had thought. In about 2 or 3 months, my thoughts changed once again. Nay, it found clarity. I came to conclude that what she had sought wasn't a tool to exploit and cast aside when their usefulness was spent. She was looking for a companion in her adventuring path. That single understanding unlocked many others. That to bring an army of hundreds on an adventure is to bring a great burden, and to abandon them is to be foolish. That you found value in what was made yours. Perhaps it was then when I had first begun to address her as my young miss. For many nights to this day, I pondered, why did young Miss choose me? As to free a Heisho, an adept at that, and make him her companion exacts a terrible monumental price. There must be more to it than simply relinquishing her hold on the steeds. I searched through the memories of our exchanges, inscribing them, delving into the chasm of memories with the item upon which these recollections left marks. Allow me to share a supposition of my own in that regard. I recall a memory of a certain day in which you, with your usual attitude, bemoaned a sense of aimlessness as to why you toil to become the family hierarchy, even as you prepare for the evaluation. As that was the bearing with which young Miss oft carry herself, my reply was just as quotidian. When was it, young Miss, that you found most joy in Hung Yen? And your reply was, I believe it was, huh? What kind of joy is there to be found in Hung Yen anyhow? Thus I replied, perhaps you could strive to become the family hierarchy, so that one day joy may indeed be found in Hung Yen. In truth, I know not the meaning behind that dialogue with you, not until this rumination has found its end today. Your reply was always the same. Stop saying dumb things. And that was the end of that. However, upon hearing his tale, I believe I gained an inkling of understanding. Indeed, him, your killer. As I wandered aimlessly lost in the alleyway of Hung Yen, he emerged from the shadows to address me. He explained thusly that he had found the stable of steeds incomplete without its vanguard, that he had been wandering in search of the Adept. And to that I replied, it had already been too long since I was last leashed as a Heisho, and that there surely would be other Adepts who were better fit for his vision. But he shook his head and claimed that, in all the history of East and West, there was but one Adept fit to ride at the vanguard of his cavalry, the same one who once served his little sister. Unable to quench my curiosity, I asked, while I could accept his decision to liberate my young Miss from the machinations of the wraiths lurking underneath Dong Yen, hardly could I within myself to forgive one who swung his fell crescent to end her life. Thus, why is it that he would seek me out, to goat me into none other than his leash, when I could well have been whetting the blade of vengeance against him? To that he replied thusly, those who seek to bring prosperity, to have the lower streets bloom with laughter and happiness, balms and humble merchants' stalls to hum the lively hubbub, must keep the most excellent steed. I recall that you once spent much time conversing with him. At some time in the past, his purpose seemed a little different from yours, young Miss. The only delineation being the hesitation, or lack thereof, before bloodshed. Do the ends justify the means? A banal question, yet it's so difficult to answer when confronted with it. That man's bloodied bandages told me of the future. The kind of bloodshed he would usher into the world of darkness to bring about the Hung Yen he sought to realize. But I decided to correct my thinking. If all other means are lost, then the ends, at the very least, must hold true. Today, young Miss, I did not ingest the suppression boluses you had gifted me. The characteristics of a Heisho shall then return to me anon, for a body logged with Heisho boluses are forever changed. I wear the mask again. Indeed, the same mask that I had once buried deep for safekeeping and sealing. The mask that you made me, young Miss, out from the shards of the exoskeleton that grew whenever I took the equine form. And when the time comes, I will bite down upon the gag and allow others to lead me by my reins once again. I know not how faint this memory of mine shall be again, but I shall remember you, my young miss, by writing, revisiting, then reading this letter without a destination, all to finish the dream you had sparked. Now let me trot on. Let me break into a gallop. If my path is not to your liking, I will always welcome your usual scathing reproach. For I would gladly hear your voice again. Yet, you needn't be impatient. My gait is swifter than any in Hongyan. So I don't suppose it will be long till I embark on a journey to find you.